It's very interesting, the jerking back and forth we're getting in regard to the Trump DeSantis polling reality. So as you guys are aware, Donald Trump has now announced his run for president, but a lot of people are floating Ron DeSantis as a possible 2024 Republican challenger. The idea is Donald Trump, didn't have a great midterm night. A lot of the people who were very important races for the GOP that were aligned with Trump didn't do well. Now, Trump will, of course, cite, I had all these people who won who I'd endorsed, but those were safe endorsements he made that regardless of if he endorsed them or not, they would have won. Whereas the more contentious, the more up for grabs races, his endorsement seemed to hurt those candidates, or at least their pro-Trump MAGA ideology, election denialism, absolutely hurt them. And so the idea is he did so bad, Ron DeSantis crushed in Florida, did very well. Maybe DeSantis is the future of the party. And so that's the discussion that keeps being had. And right after the midterms, that was the polling that we got. It seemed DeSantis, in very recent polls, had a massive swing in his direction of the polling of GOP voters specifically. But then I'll show you, we're going to look at that, the most recent one that's come out. But then we'll also look at one that recently came out that shows something completely different where Trump is leading. And so again, we're just getting jerked back and forth. But the conservative publication, the Washington Examiner, writes about a poll that was done in the latest sign that some Republicans are eager for fresh faces in the 2024 presidential primaries. Iowa voters have done an about face, making Florida Governor Ron DeSantis their number one pick. So this is Iowa, which is such an important state in the caucus/primary process. In the last year, during which DeSantis became a GOP star and former President Donald Trump announced his latest bid to take back the Oval Office, the governor's support in Iowa has hit 32%, up from 12%. Meanwhile, Trump has gone from 56% to just 30% among Iowa Republicans asked to name their first choice for the caucuses, according to that company. With support barely half what it was a year ago, in a time when DeSantis' vote has nearly tripled, Trump becomes a severe underdog in the race. And then you can see here from this Twitter account, Interactive Polls, it shows Ron DeSantis from the Iowa 2024 Republican poll that was done at 32%, while Trump is at 30%, which was completely different just a few months ago in June when Trump was up at 38%, DeSantis was at 17%. So again, we've looked at more general polls that had DeSantis up, and then also key primary states, including Iowa, like you saw there, including DeSantis as the leader. But then just recently, maybe the midterm boost that DeSantis is getting, at least in this poll that seems to be nationwide, is not lasting. And the announcement from Trump may be getting more GOP voters back on his side. Mediaite writes, former President Donald Trump leads Governor Ron DeSantis in a hypothetical 2024 GOP presidential primary, according to two new surveys, ending a run of brutal post-midterm election polls. So it highlights there, this is kind of the first good batch of polling for Trump since the midterms. According to a Politico Morning Consult poll, which is a pollster I trust a lot more than the previous one, 45% of primary voters would cast their ballot for Trump, who has already declared his candidacy, while 30% would choose DeSantis, who has not yet, or who has yet to decide whether he'll challenge the former president. And then it says that Pence is at 7%, who also hasn't announced. So having Trump back up on top significantly, 45% to 30% over DeSantis, is a significant move there. And I think two factors are at play. Number one, polling is kind of all over the map. I think Republican voters themselves are kind of all over the map, confused on how they feel about DeSantis versus Trump. But also, I think the announcement of Trump probably gets more Republicans going, okay, he's the one who's actually announced. I'm back on his side. DeSantis hasn't even announced yet. So, but if DeSantis was to announce, I could see again the polling shifting once again. But as I said, the second DeSantis started being floated, especially once he started looking very popular within the Republican Party, and double especially after the midterms, while even if DeSantis is leading in all the polls before they actually fight each other in a primary, I can tell you, don't discount the ability for Trump to take DeSantis down. I do think he has that ability among Republicans especially, and it would be so fascinating to see them tear each other apart. As I've said before, the best thing for the Democratic Party in this situation is for the Republicans involved to tear themselves apart, divide the party so that they're less united around defeating the Democrats, if that makes sense. And so we will continue to follow this roller coaster ride of polling, and hopefully DeSantis will indeed announce so that those two can go at it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get access to an extra full show every Saturday that only members can see, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there is a link in the description.